Hey everyone, I am Jen from Work Wonders Careers, and you are watching another one of our Pep Talks here. Today I'm going to be talking about having more time and energy for your job search and specifically for your resume, since we're talking about resumes all month long. If you haven't been to one of our Pep Talks before, welcome. These are designed to be like actionable, easy to implement tips and inspiration so that you can make time and prioritize not just your to-do list, but your career goals as well. We're doing something a little different this month where we are going live every week, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. So here I am. And the reason we're doing that is we're talking about all things resumes all month long. It is Show Your Resume Some Love Month here at Work Wonders. And I don't want to put any blame for this corny month on my team. It was totally my idea, but we want to help you get results that you'll love. And we think the best way to do that is by showing your resume love. So if you are here, feel free to say hello and let me know where you're from. Let's see here. Get my notes up. If you are watching this now and you're not familiar with us or you'd like some additional resources, feel free to head over to workwonderscoaching.com. You can see all of our upcoming events over there. And you can also take a look at a free workbook you can download that we'll be happy to send to you. You can sign up for our mailing list and all of that good stuff. And you can also take a look at the events we have coming up for, hey, Nicole. Oh, always happy. Always happy to see you, Nicole. Thanks for being here. Hey, Maya, Brooklyn. Awesome. Congrats on the promotion, Maya. We're very excited. Elena, DC. Awesome. Awesome. So happy to have you all today. So like I said, it is Show Your Resume Some Love Month. I'll be here next week talking about resume advice to reconsider. On the 19th, we'll be having a Show Your Resume Some Love webinar hosted with our friends at Just Us Gals. And then the following week, you can bring any of your resume questions. I'll be doing a resume AMA and showcasing my resume writing process so that you can use it for yourself. Awesome. I see more people saying hello, 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 welcome. And thank you so much for being here. Hey, Lucina. So I was putting together today's notes and I'm trying to do I'm a massive over preparer. Hey, I'm a massive over preparer and I'm trying to do a better job of not like over preparing so that I can like be present and pay attention to all the comments that are coming in. But I was preparing some notes and I realized like I have more than 5, I think. Like, I don't think there's any way that I can really keep this to 5. But the reason that I think this is such an important topic, I don't know if I need to sell the people who are here on the importance of this topic, but aside from strategy, managing your time and energy and expectations in the job search is like the most critical piece that we're working on. And quite frankly, you can have a really great strategy, but if you're not implementing it, if you're not in control of your time, at least some of the time, or in control of your energy, I think that it's not going to be that helpful to you, right? So it's really critical that we have some tools, not just about resonating with employers and standing out, but I'm glad you're with us, Belinda. It's really critical that we know how to kind of structure our time, manage our time, come back from pitfalls and trip ups and disappointments, because those are almost inevitable in the job search process. And there's a range of, challenges people have with time, right? So some people have too much time, too much unstructured time. So you might be between jobs and looking for a job is not really a full-time job. And sometimes it can be really hard to get motivated because there seems to be like an infinite amount of time ahead of you to really get through these task lists. But the other piece here is that most people who are working or have families are like absolutely pushed to the max right now. And that's always like been true for our clients. We've always worked with people who are at the max. I just think some of us have really experienced a new max that we didn't know was possible in terms of like time and energy, given how we've all been living for the last year. So I'm excited to share these tips because all the strategy in the world isn't really going to matter if you don't have the tools to implement it. All right, I see lots. Oh, hey, hi, Amber, Marta, Peter, Philip. Congratulations, Philip. Awesome. Emil, Elizabeth, awesome. Well, thank you all for being here. So the first tip that I want to offer is really around clocking out. of your current job. And I mean clocking out both in terms of time, like you could be on your computer or you could be on your phone, you could be taking calls all the time. So you could literally be working. But a lot of places that I see this is actually like energetic bandwidth. So people might shut down their computer, but not actually be able to like shut down work in their head, right? And so that can leave people feeling like they just don't have the capacity to really spend any time working on their job search. It's like they're still kind of doing their job. So there are a couple of things here. So when it comes to time, so we're just talking about the actual work you might be doing if you're working longer hours than you'd like to the first thing we do is like we try to create the space. And I don't try to immediately fill the space, by the way, with your job search. I try to like have some people experience gaps and rest before. If you don't have any time for rest or extra work now, like let's create some for you. Sometimes that means putting up an out of office message. Sometimes this helps my clients reassure other people that they will be back, that they'll be back first thing, to post their hours publicly or let people know when, that they won't be available via email. So communicating that boundary to the people you're working with or to your clients or whoever that might look like can be a really helpful step. You can be really proactive in that and take ownership. And if this feels like something you absolutely cannot do 5 nights a week, try doing it 1 night a week. 1 night a week, try logging off and putting an out of office message and letting people you'll be back in the morning. So I think that can be a really critical piece, is being proactive there and just creating a boundary so that you have some time and energy to yourself that you can eventually turn focus on your job search. Sometimes my clients like shut the computer down. Like I'm not the only one who leaves my computer on pretty consistently, I bet. So if you are someone who leaves the computer on, maybe checks work email, maybe you can just kind of have a little bit more consolidated, focused shutdown time, so that you know that you are creating a very strong boundary for yourself there. But I want to offer some tips on what to do if you're like, Jen, I shut down my computer. I'm not doing work. I'm not answering email. It's just that the workday is still kind of with me. And so I've been working with a client on this issue recently. And so we've experimented with a few different things. So sometimes like going outside for like a brisk walk right after the workday can be really helpful. Some of my clients really like doing guided meditations at the end of the day. Sometimes like a cord cutting meditation can be really helpful so that people can really distance themselves. If having a conversation with a roommate or partner can help you decompress, and checking in with someone else can help, transition your energy, I think that can be really helpful too. Another surprising thing that can kind of help people unplug from work energetically here is to take more breaks during the day too. So if you're just sitting at your computer for 8 hours a day, maybe taking a little lunch break, getting outside, creating some mini boundaries so that by the end of the day, you don't feel like you've just been tugged on by absolutely everyone that you're working with. You are able to start chunking your work and be focused for certain blocks, and also just decompress and not saving all the decompression for the end of the day or the end of the week. The next piece of this is acknowledging what refuels you. And so if you are doing anything during the day, whether it's care work or like paid labor work at a job, or if you, are just feeling like you've been job searching a lot and your tank is dry, like we want to kind of fill up your tank. And so, a lot of my clients are surprised when we encourage them to I have a client now who's like an avid knitter. That's their form of decompression. Maybe it's video games, like whatever kind of like way that you need to unplug. I have like my partner plays video games with friends, so it's like an interactive activity. We actually want you to do that. This is like a really underrated way to kind of fill up the tank. And I know you might be saying like, well, this distracts me. This takes time away from what I could be doing. And that's potentially true. Like all of these things that refuel you could also be just a giant procrastination mechanism for you as well. So what I want you to think of is like, you deserve time off, you deserve rest and connection and all of those good things. And to really be aware of how you're using these, and be aware of when you're filling up your tank and when you're just kind of trying to procrastinate on your job search. That's a really critical piece here. Thanks, Nicole, for helping us out in the comments. I really appreciate that. So speaking of connection, like I actually want you to think about making this a part of your resume and job search strategy is how can you connect with other people? Coming to something like this might be helpful because you can see in the chat, you can see there's other people here. They have similar questions. They have similar challenges. So you're not really left to your own to decide. And sometimes just that recognition that like, oh, I'm not the only person struggling with this can be huge. But it's also really just a helpful like way to refresh and regroup and re-strategize, like to give yourself the opportunity to consciously and intentionally reset a little bit. In Work Wonders & Co., which is a program we run for job seekers, we bring people together in group calls pretty frequently. And a lot of times people won't even have questions. They'll just come because they know they're going to be able to talk to other people. They're going to be able to like learn from other people's experience, and they're just going to have the opportunity to like reset. So if you don't have a way to give yourself that, I think finding the right community and network, whether it's friends or something like that, or if you join a program, I think that that's a really, really huge asset that people can have is the support of other people. Along the same lines, I sometimes think making like public declarations about what you plan on doing can be really impactful. And I don't mean you need to like, go live on Instagram and make an announcement, but by all means, if you think that'll help, go for it. But I'm thinking more like declarations to the people we're living with or the people who are closest to us. Like by the end of the week, I'm going to revise my resume and apply for that job that I mentioned last week. I'm really excited about it. So check in with me on Friday. I think that's just one way to create accountability for people and also just have some encouragement. We used to talk a lot about accountability, and I do think that's a huge part of this for folks. But in the last year, we've kind of wanted to be a lot more gentler with people. So sometimes just having someone rooting for you, knowing that, it feels like a challenge to carve out the time and energy, but having someone in your corner, being really excited for you can kind of make all the difference. So if you haven't, asked for help from other people, if you haven't let people around you know what you're doing in a real specific way, I think there's an opportunity to do that will help create a little bit momentum, a little bit of focus. And when you have some of that, you actually need less time. Things can be done much more efficiently when you set this structure up for yourself. That's why we're so big on structure is, we want to create a system that gives people support that they can have accountability to themselves. That's who we really want you to be accountable to. When people ask for accountability, like they want a way to be supported in pursuit of their own goals here. And that requires, having other people know what you're doing. So if you're not telling people that, I hope you will give yourself the opportunity to do so. I know it can be scary. Yeah, Stephanie has a question. As a college student, what is a good way to kind of log off when there is an online class the majority of the day? That's a great question, Stephanie. I teach college too. I'm teaching online right now, so I totally know what you mean. So I wonder, here's a practice that I try to do like on Fridays when I like leave my office and leave my desk. And if you saw my desk right now, you'd be like, Jen, you don't look like you have any organizational practices. It's been one of those days. But something that I like to do is like really put a metaphorical bow on things. So when I finish teaching, Stephanie, what I do is I write down a very quick list in my planner. What did I just promise to do? Like, did I promise to email a student? Did I say I'd write a letter of recommendation? Did I say I would update Blackboard with materials? Like, what did I just commit to do? And I schedule that right away. And then I will go to my notes. I keep a notebook for all my classes. And if there was something interesting that came up in the conversation that I wanted to make note of and that I plan to come back to the following week, I add that as well. And what that allows me to do, it's not really the same as logging off, but I'm able to like, okay, I have scheduled the tasks that I need to complete for the week, and I don't need to be, sitting here to do those, sitting at the computer to do them necessarily. And I have I have a follow-through mechanism and a way to kind of pick up where I left off. One of the reasons that my desk gets messy is like I don't leave myself notes on where to kind of pick things back up again. So I've started leaving myself detailed notes, like finish the conversation here, hear some follow-up questions to get class discussion going next week. So if you can come up with like a ritual, like what makes you feel like you can successfully wrap up your day as a student? Do you have a plan to get your homework done for the week? Is it scheduled in a Google Calendar or planner? Are there any follow-up items that need to be added into your calendar? And then once things are scheduled, for me, it's like I can stop thinking about it. They're there. I'll see them. They're on my to-do list. They're on my they're either in my project planner or my Google Calendar. Good question. If anyone else has any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments here. So I have like 2, maybe 3, depending on how you count things. I told you I had more than 5 that I want to offer today too. And so the first thing that I want to offer is the way the Work Wonders framework for job seekers is set up. It's front loaded, like the work is front loaded. So when I say that, I mean that the self-reflection and assessment that has to be done and the revision of things like your resume, your LinkedIn profile, your cover letter, creating templates, that's an intense amount of work. And it happens early on when we're working with clients. So I try to this is a little bit of a mindset shift, right? Is that we have to get clear on how much time things are actually going to take. And people seem to think that when I say things take time, that it's going to take like months and months of self-reflection. But we're talking about 2 to 6 weeks where you can have much more clarity about where you want to focus your job search, much better resume templates about how you can present yourself. And if you have more than one kind of area you're pursuing, you maybe have created more than one resume. You have a LinkedIn profile that enables you to show up on the platform with confidence and reach out to people if you are networking, if that's part of your strategy, so that if they go to take a peek at who you are, you feel good about what they're seeing there. And a cover letter template so that when you see an opportunity and you know how to customize your resume, you can also very efficiently write a cover letter that you'd feel good sending and that would really convey, your strengths and experience and enthusiasm for the job. If I told you could do that in 2 to 6 weeks and it would make the rest of your job search a lot easier, like you probably wouldn't want to not do that. And so a big part of my job is getting people to see the return on investment of their time. When you have a resume you are confident in using, when you have a LinkedIn profile summary you are confident in using, when you have all these tools and they really do require just tweaks from here on out, just minor changes, you're running a whole different ball game rather than trying to recreate the wheel every single time, trying to tailor every single application. The reason our clients' tweaks are more effective than I think a lot of other tweaks folks are making is because they have extremely strategic resumes. We spend so much time teaching our clients how to use their resume effectively, how to create a summary of qualifications, how to highlight the right job accomplishments, how to identify the right job accomplishments. And so all of that requires time. It's perhaps time you're not spending sending your resume out all over. But if you take 2 to 6 weeks, which is not a ton of time. And I see 2 to 6 weeks work for people who know exactly what they want to do and also for people who are feeling uncertain about what they want to do. You could have all of those tools at your disposal. So I want you to think about what your future self would think about when they're scrambling to turn around a job application because something has been posted or they've seen something that's been up for a long time. And maybe you've had a really long day at work, but you have not only you have a resume that's ready to go, but what changes need to be made. That would make your job search a lot easier. Those are the kinds of things that we try to get our clients to think about so that they're not just turning their job search into a numbers game and applying everywhere. They're focused, they're clear, and they have the basics good to go so that, they don't need hours and hours and hours of time for months on end to get their job search going. So I want you to think about, could you invest a little bit more time up front, maybe a couple weekends in a row, or a few minutes a day, which I'll get to my next tip in just a minute. I think that would really change the game for your job search in the long haul. And I always say when people are working with us, this resume isn't just going to get you your next job. This knowledge is going to help propel you for years to come. So I want you to think about what you're actually doing, because if you get stuck in this very transactional mode where you're applying for jobs and you're not hearing back or you're just getting rejections, then there's no motivation to apply. But if you have great tools that you're excited to use. And if you can focus on just the opportunities that you're most excited about, the way the job search feels can change tremendously. Now I have 2 final rules, but they're kind of like a package deal in my book. So tell me if you've ever just like sat down and you've had, work on your resume on your to-do list. This is something I hear from a lot of people, like, I'm going to work on my resume this weekend. I don't know what work on my resume means. I don't sit down to work on my resume, and I don't sit down to work on clients' resume with that kind of agenda for myself. So here are some things to keep in mind, because I think that's just too ambiguous to be successful. And it feels like it will take forever because you're not even sure what you're actually going to do when you sit down to do it. And that is, be specific. So have a specific goal every time you sit down with your resume. This is what I do with my clients. And I'll go into more detail later this month on what my resume process looks like, but I never sit down to work on a resume. I sit down to restructure a resume. I sit down to write a revised summary of qualification for a resume. I sit down to review, like with a fine-tooth comb, right? Like double check for typos and that sort of thing. That is a part of the resume writing process. So I want you to think about how you can be more specific in your goals, because those are really time bound. They don't need hours on end. Maybe you want to do a couple resumes or get a couple applications out, but that's not necessarily every time you're sitting down with your resume. If you have any questions, this is going to be my last tip. So feel free to drop your questions in the comments here, because this tip is super simple, but it's very easy to implement. That's the good news. And that is to set a timer. Set a timer. And I like to encourage people to set a timer for a short period of time, like 20 minutes. 20 minutes, you can write a new summary of qualifications. In 20 minutes, you can proofread a resume. In 20 minutes, you can restructure the achievements so they align with a job posting. There's so much you can do to your resume in 20 minutes. And if you're a newer client and you're just learning how to use the summary of qualification strategy and you're like, it's taking me longer than 20 minutes, it's true. It can be a little clunky. It can take a little bit more time as you're getting used to it. But as you practice, you really won't need more than 20 minutes to do this. Trust me, I've seen other clients do it. You can create another template that makes that easier. You can probably do that in about 20 minutes. So setting a timer is a way to just take advantage of small pockets of time and energy. You don't need to block off a whole day or spend hours after a long day doing this, and just cross something off your to-do list. If you're a client, you've probably heard me say, like, you could do your job search in 20 minutes 3 times a week. I really do believe that, because the other piece about time that I think is really helpful here is to think about consistency. I think people are sticking around waiting for a windfall of time, when in fact they have plenty of time. They're just not sure how to take advantage of it. So those are my time and energy tips for you today. I want to just remind everyone, I'm pulling up my dates here so I don't give anyone any wrong dates. Next week's Pep Talk is on resume advice to reconsider. That's February 17th, 4 p.m. right here on LinkedIn. We have an event page that you can register an RSVP for that, so you'll get that notification. And then I'm teaming up with Just Us Gals for Show Your Resume Some Love, and that's happening on February 19th. So that's a week from this Friday. And I'm really excited about that, because I'm going to be putting all of these pieces together, showing you how to really take advantage of the self-reflection and assessment that you've done and turn that into compelling resume content. And also, a lot of reminders like today, like how to take advantage of small pockets of time, how to manage your expectations along the way. And then on the 24th, we have our final Pep Talk of the month, where I'll be sharing my resume writing process. Plus, I'll be taking any resume related questions that you might have. So I hope that you will join us for the rest of the month. You can register over on our website, workwonderscoaching.com/events. Nicole, if you're here and you want to drop the Pep Talk link, we have some previous recordings of previous Pep Talks, and we'll continue to update with this month's content as well. We're also going to be opening up Work Wonders & Co. and the Career Collective. We have 2 career program for job seekers and also a career community collective. So keep your eye out for that as well. I'm going to be hanging out in the comments. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to tag me. But I want to know from you which one of these tips that you think you'll be taking advantage of in the weeks to come. Will you be shutting down your computer? Will you be going for a walk after work? Will you be telling your friends what you're up to and asking for a little support or encouragement? I hope you'll let me know in the comments. All right. Hope you all have a really good rest of your day. If any of my clients are watching, I will see you at tonight's office hours, and I hope you have a really good rest of your week. I'll see you soon.